Okay, greetings everybody. Keith here. Hoping everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life. Okay, while we get started, I want to thank everybody for your continued support. Please sure to hit the like, share, and subscribe button. If you're on Hecklebus, get over to El Perro and do the same. And likewise, if you're on El Perro, get over to Hecklebus, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. There's a couple PayPal links down there for anybody that wants to share some love. The FBU one is for those that have PayPal accounts. The business one is for those that don't have PayPal accounts. If you're going to help out with a small donation of love, please use the friends and family. That way it comes through as a donation and not a payment. In the meantime, the PayPal or the StreamYard link is pinned up there at the top for anybody that wants to come join us. And we're going to be talking about that Strawman that everybody's worried about, the Voodoo doll, the federal person. And this is something that if you go to Paul's stream, he talked about the dual jurisdiction. We're going to talk about that tonight, the dual jurisdiction. And the jurisdiction we're talking about is, like I said, that federal person. Of the 14th Amendment. And we're going to take a look at, rather than the 14th Amendment, which is protection clause and everything, those are your civilian rights. That's the civilian, things like that. We're going to take a look at Article 1 and the various differences in regard to the federal jurisdiction and how it plays in. And there's important to understand in regards to how it relates to the Postal Service. And Congress and its Constitution are subject to the Postal Congress and its Constitution at the international level. So that's what we're going to help sort out here by talking about the federal jurisdiction as it relates to that 14th Amendment citizen, the civilian. And as we get started, we're going to start out with good old Chuck Grassley from Iowa. And he's going to be doing a little talk here on the civilian control of the military and General Mark Miley in recent situations. So let's listen to this. It's about 12 minutes and 18 seconds long. And you'll have to excuse me. I'm using an older laptop to try to make it through until I get one. My options have been limited. Somebody did send me another laptop from Australia, but it was an older one, refurbished, and a week after I got it, it burned up the network adapter. So now I'm stuck with computers that are lagging and old, not doing the job. So please pay attention. Hope this comes out good for you. And let's start out, like I said, Grassley on civilian control of the military. And pay attention closely to how the military is controlled.
I'm here in the Senate today to sound the alarm about one of America's guiding principles. Everybody knows about this, the constitutional principle of civilian control of our military, very much a cornerstone of our republic. This fundamental principle of self-government may have been in jeopardy during the final days of the Trump administration. But before I get to that, I will provide a historical context. That principle became part of the American fabric on June the 14th, 1775, when the Congress of the Continental Congress appointed George Washington commander of the Continental Army. His commission ordered him to report to civilian authorities. It specified, and I want to quote, "You," meaning the new General Washington, "you are to punctually observe such orders and directions from time to time as you shall receive from this or a future Congress of these United Colonies," end of quote. Well, he followed that. At war's end, General Washington gave this principle lasting purpose, and he did it with power and grace. On December 23, 1783, in a solemn ceremony at the State House in Annapolis, George Washington voluntarily surrendered his commission, as well as his military power, to civilian authority, the President of the Continental Congress.
That means the president has control of the military. And again, like I said, the president has no statehood as a president of the United States, which is a corporate entity. So that tells us again, the military is a commercial operation. And again, it's concurrent with Article 10 of the Labor Code. Martial law chiefly affects the police and the collection of public revenue and taxes. And again, that's concurrent with Article 1, Section 8, Clauses 1, 3, 7, 14, and 17. And we'll be going over those.
Scene is memorialized in a dramatic John Trumbull painting that is displayed in the rotunda not far from here. And all of my colleagues go through that part of this Capitol every day. Probably don't pay a lot of attention to it, but it's an important description of a basic constitutional principles. Now, we know that there's other ways of doing these things in other countries. We know that dictators rule their nation with an iron fist because they control the sword. Washington selflessly laid down that sword to ensure America's destiny for generations to come. He chose to disband the army and return to private life at Mount Vernon. And one scholar explained it this way, quote, "The Virginian went home to plow," end of quote. By this noble act, Washington cemented a crown jewel of self-rule, civilian control of the military. 5 years later, as Washington was elected president,
And so I want to point out here, as he said, civilians control the military. Okay, so let's take a look at what civilian means. Civilian. Make sure it's coming up on the screen here. And again, I apologize for the lag. Okay. So we have civilian, late 14th century, judge or authority on civil law. So when they say the civilian is the power of the military authority on civil law, it's the civilian that authors the civil law. This is because of their demands and the supply chain they need to fulfill the demands. So they authorize it through their orders. of civil law. That's the 14th Amendment citizen. That's in that paperwork. That's it. You, the man, is signing for it. You don't have to. That's how this civilian law, this civil law is being created. Every time you sign one of them documents, it enforces that. You give it power, and therefore it enforces it through its own use. From noun use of Old French civilian of the civil law, created from Latin civilis, relating to a citizen, sit, I, zen, the zen of the city. You get used to that electric hum, the buzz, relating to public life, befitting a citizen, popular, affable, courteous. There's a root word, court. What do you suppose EIOUS means? Anybody know? I looked it up. I have. You'd already know it. And it would say wise. It means wise. So you are court wise. Alternative adjectival derivative of civis, meaning townsman. See, city. Sense of non-military and non-clerical. What is a cleric? The man of the church, man of ecclesiastic, person, non-clerical person, one whose pursuits are those of civilian life in person, is attested by 1766 as an adjective to or characteristic of a civilian. From 1640s, also late 14th century. City as a noun, circa 1200, from Old French seat, town, city, from earlier citet, from Latin civitatum, nominative civitas, in late Latin sometimes cititum, originally citizenship, condition or rights of a citizen, again in person, membership in the community, later community of citizens, state, commonwealth. Used, for instance, of the Gaulish tribes from civis, townsman, from pi root, which is Proto-Indo-European root, kai,
You got no sound, my man. Can't hear nothing. Try to fuck with your computer or no one can hear anything. Unless people can hear me, I don't know. Can anyone hear me?
Okay, are you there?
Yeah, bro.
Hello?
It's been can you hear me?
Okay. So I'm trying to figure out when I lost sound. So I'm gonna have to go back and redo that section.
Yeah, you went out for a minute, Keith. It was just stopped.
Okay, we got sound now.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
You're good now.
Okay, and this is what I'm talking about, folks.
Yeah,
I got to
man.
deal with bullshit equipment that's lagging and everything, and
I got a
it
bunch
just
of
causes big
laptops.
problems.
I'd send you one, man. I just don't have any cords for them.
I'm gonna try to get people to start trying to send you more donations, Keith, on my end.
If I find a cord for one of my laptops, fuck that. I'll send you it, man. I got like 5 that we find them downtown. People throw them out when they're done using them in the areas. You know, they throw out chairs, brand new shit. But
You're
yeah,
talking about
your
the
shit's
Ethernet cable itself?
not the Ethernet cable. It's the actual power cord that connects that powers a computer. But these laptops are pristine. Pristine. I've got Dells, a bunch of different kind. But yeah, I can hear you now, man. Continue. We lost about maybe the last 5 minutes when you started highlighting.
All right. Well, so we just got to go over civilian again.
Yep. No, I heard civilian part right after that part.
Okay, so the starting at city.
Again, I heard what courteous. After you said wise, that's where it ended.
Yeah, courteous. If you notice, the root word in there is court, and then you got EOUS. And like I said, if you have already done your research, then you would already know it means wise. So it literally reads court wise. So if you're going to courteous, then that's telling you you've got to have the intelligence of courting. Courting is your negotiations, just like when you court a woman, you negotiate with her on your terms and conditions of the relationship. So that's the same thing you're going to do with every other relationship. Sure.
About that, it's right there. So like, you remember when we were going over stuff and you're like, ask questions. Is it wrong to be asking questions in court? Because I talked to my mom about sending in my papers. She's like, I ain't gonna file anything because I think you're right about that. Then I'm putting myself into their system, and I'm not a lawyer.
Yep. Let them know, hey, I'm not competent. Step up. I'm an idiot. I'm not competent. I don't know what to do here. All I know is I'm going to hurt myself if I do. I need the court's protection.
But when you're saying courteous, wise, does that mean that you have to be wise?
It means you're wise according. You're wise according. You know how to negotiate. You know how to contract. If you don't, then you shouldn't be. It's just like I tell people, if you don't know how to do right. So you just stand there and keep asking questions. And it's like I tell people about banking. If you really don't know about banking, why are you handing your banking over to somebody else and just believing that they know what they're doing?
And then
why don't you learn how to do it yourself first? Why don't you learn how to do it yourself first so that you can know the competent qualities that you're looking for if you need somebody else to do it for you? It's the same thing with the education. Why are you just handing your children over to people that have some kind of piece of paper that says they know how to educate? If you don't know how to educate yourself, so you know the qualifications of what you're looking for.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So let's get back into it. Let me pull up civilian on screen share again, and hopefully this will work.
Yeah, just check the chat sometimes because Then you'll see if the sound went out.
Okay.
I'm ready.
So we got done with that, and we came down here to city. And in city it says, as a noun, Old French from 1200 C, 12th century. Town, city, modern French from earlier citet, from Latin civitatum, nominative civitas, in late Latin sometimes citatum. Originally, citizenship, condition of that citizenship, it's a group right instead of an individual right. Okay, and again, it confirms membership. So you got to be a part of a group in the community. Later, community of citizens, state, commonwealth, used for instance of the Gaulish tribes, from civis, townsman, from Proto-Indo-European root, kai, to lie. Also forming words for bed, couch, and with the secondary sense of beloved, dear. And so when we look at this, to lie means to bed. So
What?
Lay your beloved to rest.
Oh,
You lay your dearly beloved to rest. So that is the sense of to lie. Okay?
is it spelled that way?
Now, a large and important one. Yeah. Two words spelled the same way that mean different things. And you say them in the same sense, but you better know what the pronouns and
I'm thinking of lay.
See, and this is why the construction of the language,
like L-A-Y.
right?
But I guess lie.
Right, and to lie them to rest is the same thing.
Interesting, fascinating shit. Okay.
We're going to skip down here between Latin and English because English adopted the Latin, and it says the sense was transferred from the inhabitants to the place. From the inhabitants to the place. The Latin word for city was urbs, and this is where we get our suburbs and urban. But a resident was civis. Resident was civis. Civitas seems to have replaced urbs as Rome lost its prestige, the ultimate urbs. Okay. Loss of Latin V is regular French in some situations. Compare alligator and aliver, negi and neve, juane from juvenis, and a different sound evolution from Latin word yielded Italian cita, Catalan ciudad, Spanish ciudad, Portuguese cidade. Is the city from 1550s as an adjective pertaining to a city, urban. From circa 1300, city hall, chief, municipal offices. So this the city hall would be the mayor's city hall, and it's a mayoral form of government, and the mayor is commander-in-chief at that level. The county commissioner is commander-in-chief at that level for its trade zone, and then the state is the governor is commander, and then at the national level you have the president is commander-in-chief. Each one of them having a subordinate in that commander goes by rank. Is first recorded 1670s. To fight City Hall is 1913. American English, city slicker. This is where the import of the term lie changes. Because city slicker, a smart and plausible rogue that lives in the city. They're the smart, dapper guy that goes around playing the little 3-card money game back in the early 20s. That was the original City Slicker.
No
He was a
kidding.
smart street making money.
He played what?
Played games on the street making money. He was the
Like
con man.
like scammer?
Yes.
No kidding.
Let's see.
You know what's funny, Keith, when you're talking about it? Like when you look at the hierarchy of judges, it got a chief justice, then they got a chief magistrate. It'll go from like the chief justice, and then it'll have
That's what bothers me too. Like there's so many people.
It'll have like chief magistrate, and it'll have all the other magistrates up under it.
Yep.
Yeah, how does that work?
that's-
really?
Well, the problem there, remember it said clerical? See, the clerk of each court is the military officer. The judge is the administrator. And the clerk, it's the clerk. Yes, it is. And it's the clerk that assigns the judge.
No,
So what's the assignment come from? The assignment is from a grantor or grantee that's making an assignment that a trustee will accept.
What?
That's who, isn't that correct, Kang? When you
Really?
make an assignment in a trust, it's the trustee that you're assigning.
Yes, sir.
Just because they're a judge,
And who does the assigning?
It's the clerk of
The
court?
grantee. The clerk is the one that runs the court, yes.
Yeah, that's what my boyfriend just said. He's like, yeah, the judge ain't
It's a
shit.
financial operation. He is the chief executive officer.
Wow.
If you ever look at their calendar and how they rotate, the clerk assigned to schedule everything for the judges.
I thought they were like the assistant for a judge. Exactly. They run everything, and I didn't know.
Yeah, they're not the assistant for the judge. The judge is the assistant for them.
Wow.
Okay?
No
They also issue. The judge is the one that draws up the order and then hands it to the clerk, and the clerk is the one that issues it. IS. SUE
issues it as in serves it.
is listen is sue. Do you see the two words? Why are you saying ish?
Oh my god! I
Get it?
Did you hear that? How he breaks that shit down? Sue ish is sue issue sue. Do you get
All
it?
right, let's back on. Oh, first I want to. I was interrupted with the going on. I do want to thank everybody for joining me. Certainly, Special K and L Bay, JLV. We've got Mo Ali, Moon Peach, Layla Steinberg, Sir Greg, Veteran Help, Michelle Moretti. Good to see you. And I'm sorry, that's Sir Greg and Mo Ali. Who else here? Anybody else? Terry Lee, welcome. Our brother, this is the man here. You always see me showing off the homemade stamp. That's in fact his homemade stamp that I received through this local post office. So there's the man you can also talk to about homemade stamps if you think I'm the lunatic.
Hey,
So
my boyfriend was just saying anybody could do it. Like the homemade stamps, they just don't like know it. And when you produced that,
exactly,
like, it really fucking like blew my mind.
you have the unlimited power of contract. Ask him that one question. If I have the unlimited power of contract, does that mean I have my own special drawing rights to draw on the contract what I wish? And they will tell you yes. Those specific words, very point blank and succinct. Yes.
Wow.
Great. Do you have a crayon, preferably red and black? Now you know what the ledger's all about?
Wow.
Hey, Keith, I got a
principle was enshrined in our Constitution.
Do it matter?
Well, this
A lot of people say color purple,
rule is essential to the
red, black, and all. Do it matter when you selling stuff in blue, red?
They say to use black.
Black, purple, and gold, and all of that.
Absolutely.
I don't know
Absolutely.
why, but they say
you want your private documents. You want your private documents that are actual contracts signed in blue. You want your memorials and family. Your private contracts in blue. Your private family documents in purple or red. Your legal instruments in public capacity, black. If you don't have a public capacity in black, you shouldn't be using it except for homemade stamps or homemade instruments that you then turn around and sign in blue.
Wow, dude. I never where is that where can I get that color information from?
Just look at the documents throughout history.
Okay. I'll rewatch.
That's the way it's always done.
Colors down.
You could go to the style manual. They got a style manual that you can look up, and I believe I have it talks about the different colors.
Yeah, if anybody finds that, let me know. Let me have a copy of it. I don't know where I got it, and it's buried in my file somewhere. But
it's buried in your photographic memory. You fucking nut. You remember everything.
All you gotta do is look it up, and you'll find it again. Just a matter of your search parameters.
Forever. This guy's crazy.
All right.
Love it.
So let's get back to it.
All right, I'm gonna mute myself.
Preservation of democracy, it has been challenged with grave consequences. The Truman-MacArthur dispute over conducting the Korean War is a case in point. President Truman wanted to limit the war. General MacArthur disagreed. General MacArthur defied orders, and General MacArthur criticized his commander-in-chief, Truman's decision, and he did that publicly. So Truman fired him for insubordination. Now I want to get to the main purpose of coming to the floor. Recently, several books, including a book entitled Peril by Bob Woodward and Robert Costa, suggests that the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Milley, may have trampled on this principle. The book Peril provides an alarming account of his words and deeds. Milley told the authors he was, quote unquote, certain that the commander-in-chief was, quote, in serious mental decline and could go rogue and order military action or the use of nuclear weapons, end of quote. Now, Milley, I'm quoting again from the book, Milley felt no absolute certainty the military could control or trust the president. So, end of quote. So Milley, further quoting, in his words, took any and all necessary precautions. His job, he said, was, and I quote, to think the unthinkable. And his words, pull a Schlesinger. To his words, contain Trump. He had to, quote, inject a second opinion, end quote. His opinion was then injected into the command structure.
And to comprehend what's happening there, or what happened there, again, if the president has the military command, and Miley injects his opinion and alters the course of the governing decisions based on his opinion. And his opinion that the president is off kilter or out of balance mentally, and he doesn't have the capacity to make that decision first in order to take the command. So he has to have a ruling from somebody of that capacity saying the president cannot fulfill his requirements and therefore is incompetent. And then my can take the military command. But he can't just make that decision himself and say, okay, I'm taking over. Which is essentially what he was doing.
Who can do that, really? Is it Congress?
Right. They have to put it before a competency of a medical doctor.
Okay.
And again, this is pointed out when they arrested me and sent me into for 30-day evaluation by a judge's court order. The doctor overruled the court order. The doctor has great powers to issue orders because he can make the
why
order.
Why were you sent in for that, though? If you don't mind me asking, like, what's wrong? Like,
it was first charge and felony charge, and so they sent me up for a mental evaluation because of my past history of evaluations from foster care.
Oh, that's right.
3 times I took that fucking test. All 3 times it said I kept getting smarter. So fuck them. Let's take it today. Let's take the modern test today. So anyway, let's get back to it. Just pointed out, that's the reason this is also screwed up. You cannot just impose your opinion, and that's what the courts are doing. They're imposing their opinion, saying that you're not competent based upon their judgment, when the competency is a matter of mentality, and that should always go to a doctor. Period.
I mean, a judge can just say you're incompetent by, like, what? Their actions?
Out of his lane.
Oh, sorry.
As the president's principal military advisor. And into the statutory chain of command where law doesn't allow the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff has no command authority.
If you could paraphrase what he's saying, bro, because it's going in and out.
A crisis over impeachment.
Okay, apologies, folks.
No worries.
Like I said, we're going to have to do this. Yeah, we're just going to have to deal with this.
It sounds better now if you got off and got back on. So hopefully, if you could paraphrase maybe what he was just saying, if you heard it or know what he said.
Well, the basics is, let me do this, get this other page up. Shouldn't have any more problem with it. I think it's because this laptop's so old and it's having a hard time staying up with the speed. So when I play a video, it's not wanting to
Keep up, right?
keep connected. Yeah. Okay, so basically what it's saying is what he's already said, that Miley here recently, at the end of Trump's presidency, he tried to play some slick shit, and it shows how this government is rogue and rampant, and why President Trump went in there to try to get up the swamp. And I don't get into all the politics as a voter, but I keep track of what's going on. They pose the bipartisan bullshit, and it's all one party posing two different perspectives, so they can dupe the people into keeping believing in them. So,
Hey, bro, do you want me to send you a new hard drive for that computer?
no, I'd rather just have a whole new laptop that's up to par and has good video and graphics.
That's fine. A new hard drive would do it though. I mean, yeah, if you know how to take it apart and put it in, but just an offer.
And the StreamYard link should be posted to the chat in YouTube. JL, I believe your comment is coming from maybe Facebook. It is. The link won't post in well, I'm not going to post it in Facebook. It's just too much for me to try to figure out at this moment with these slow laptops. So it's only in the YouTube chats at the moment, but it is pinned at the top. For anybody who wants to join the stream. Any other links, they are in the description for the PayPal links, the other site links. My email is in there. My site is in there. Feel free to check out the contact page on my website to view other people that I help support. The list is growing all the time. So let's get back into it. And this is the Article 1, Section 8, Clauses 1, 3, 7, 14, and 7 that we're going to go over as it relates to the 14th Amendment citizen civilian in person, which only exists on paper or in paper. And as it says, Congress, under Article 1, Section 8, Clause 1, says the Congress shall have power to lay and collect taxes, duties, and imposts and excises, to pay the debts, and provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States. But all duties, imposts, and excises shall be uniform throughout the United States. This is concurrent with Article 1, Section 308 of the Uniform Commercial Code, wherein it states, speaks about the laws to be uniform throughout the jurisdictions. And I believe it's actually UCC 1-303. I'm not sure. Clause 3 is the Commerce Clause, which to regulate commerce with foreign nations and among the several states and with the Indian tribes. We're going to be talking about this modern doctrine here pretty soon, too. Clause 7, post offices, such as for the imposts, taxes, duties, imposts, and excises. Historical background on postal power Every nation, as I said, has to have the seat of government, and it exists the post office in order to validate its communications. It is, in fact, the seat of all governments. An exclusive power over post offices as an adjunct to other powers. Restrictions on state power for post offices. In other words, they don't have power over the post offices. Why? Because the post offices are needful places, buildings, according to the postal roads. To establish post offices and post roads. That is a place. The post road is a place. Don't play in the road. Clause 14, land and naval forces rules. Land and naval forces rules. To make rules for the government and regulation of the land and naval forces. Regulation of the land. Leviticus 25, verse 23 through 25. The land shall not be sold forever, and they can be fine regulating it so long as it's for the proper or correct use accordingly to that which is being used on it, the person or the man. 17, enclave clause. To exercise exclusive legislation in all cases whatsoever over such district, not exceeding 10 miles square, as may, by session of the particular states, and the acceptance of Congress, become the seat of the government of the United States. The United States is the corporate entity, and Washington, D.C. is the seat of the corporation, not the actual American government known as civilian forces. Whereas the federal government, as opposed to government of the United States, federal government means all entities of the government of the United States. So the federal government means the collective as a whole. But Washington, D.C. is the seat. And to exercise like authority over all places purchased. Can I see the purchase order, please? Oops. They have a definite problem. Because you see, folks, Washington, D.C. leases that. They never purchased it. Again, they can't purchase the land. The land shall not be sold forever, for it is mine, and ye are strangers and sojourners with us. And that's me and our Father which art in heaven. You are strangers and sojourners with me. I say us now. And in all possession ye shall grant the redemption. And if your brother be waxed poor and had sold off his belongings, and one of his kin come to help him, he shall redeem him that which his brother has sold off. See, they don't have any power of anything on the land except to regulate accordingly. And accordingly is Leviticus 20, verses 23 through 25. That's the power on the land, and all they can do is regulate it. And if you bring that along with Psalms 121, verse 8, the Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth and even forevermore. And why are you a redeemer? And why do you fear not? Because I fear not, for I have been redeemed. He has called me by thy name. I am his. And from what day? From the day before he formed me in the belly, he knew me. Before I was cast from the womb, he sanctified me and ordained me a prophet unto the nations. And that is particular state and acceptance of Congress become the seat of the government of the United States, the corporate entity. That's the nation. The nation is nothing but a corporate entity. And to exercise like authority, corporate authority, not anything. And corporate authority is the lowest authority of all jurisdictions. I, as a private man with no corporate entity whatsoever, can write a book or make a drawing and have more authority than the entire world.
What?
Just for that one drawing. I created that value. They can't create value. They can only take value from that which are created by other people. Over
So
all places purchased. You can't purchase anything but a building or something that's set upon the land, laid on the land, that lies on the land. A city lies on the land. Of the state in which the same shall be for the erection of forts, magazines, arsenals, dockyards, and other needful buildings. Is that house you have a building? Is it known as a residential unit?
What? A dwelling?
Is it United States or is it United States? Do you hear me now? You guys comprehend that?
Not really.
Is it United States or is it United States?
United.
You pronounce UNIT, unite.
Unite, yes.
UNIT.
Unite.
That's not unit?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought there was an E at the end. That's you.
Yeah. See, if you pick out the right root word, which is unit, now you find out when you've been grouped, like group versus grouped, ED, it's unit ED. Now you've been united, been grouped.
Wow. Yeah, they just put in the
Greetings,
chat, JLV. But hey, I got a question. With the whole book thing, then why do you have to get it patented? Why do you have to get it
You
published?
You don't. Listen. What is patent? Anybody know what patent means?
Yeah, my sister works at a patent law firm. It means you got to get it approved by a law firm, and then you get a number, and nobody can copy that.
Did you look up the definition? Did you look up the definition yourself, or are you depending on somebody else telling you what it means?
I'm just saying that's what my sister works at a patent law firm. That's all.
Yeah, so you don't know. So you don't know.
I'm just saying, yeah.
So look it up. So look it up. Look at it. Take the time to look it up. Etymology. Patent. And remember, there's two root words in there, isn't there? There's a baby word, papa, mama, dada. It's tent. His house. It's his house, obviously. How do we know? We can see it. patent, patent, observable.
Oh wow.
Latent,
Okay.
patent, overlying means it's observable. Not that it lies. Underlying, latent. It's underneath.
Study of
You may
life
not
that
be able to see it.
existed prior to
You may not
sometimes
be able,
including.
latent. It's underlying. You may not be able to see it. Patent, overlying. It's obvious. It's observable. You can see it. So why do you need to apply for a patent if it's already patent?
Yeah, it's the first thing it says. Scientific study of life
So
that
if it's,
existed prior to.
and if it's patent on its face that no one else wrote it except me, then as author, I get extensive rights above and beyond all laws. I get to determine its value. I get to determine whether I even want to sell it. So if I don't want to sell it, maybe it's not patent. Maybe it is patent and I still don't want to sell it. See where I'm going? It makes no difference to me what anybody else wants to define. It's my authority. No one else has that but me.
Intellectual
Now
property.
try to direct my person again.
Owner the legal right to exclude others from making, using, or selling an invention for a limited. Okay, yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right, dude. Really, holy fuck. The inventor or signee for a fixed period of time in exchange for the right. So it's just to get rights for it. Otherwise, if you don't want the rights to it, then I mean, anyone can take your idea, but
Yo, Keith, I did a video called "The Devil Can't Come In Without Consent," and they need your consent. Like everything is consensual.
Yep.
You have to understand when you looking at all of this information, when he's talking about patent and we talking about rights, authority come from the word author. If you looking at all of these things, you the author of everything. You can create your own everything. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, no,
So
man,
like
I like that. I like that analogy for sure.
So that's why he say it's greater. What is it? Greater that is in me than he is in the world. So when you understand your authority and you understand who you are, you now possess the power of patent, and you have the right to create and live accordingly to your own will. This is why I talk about the will being the most important document.
You can
Amen, brother.
You can literally speak it into existence. And I'll give you an example.
Please.
I, as a man with no arms, can hire out another man to draw a painting for me. I'm still the creator.
Stop.
Even though the other man drew it, if I'm the one that directs it, then I get credit for it. I'm the one that created it here.
Fascinating. Interesting. Wow. Never would have thought of something. That's insane. That's, I mean, really, that it makes sense the way you're putting it. I'm just like so fucking controlled and like, you know, in the system that it's just everything I have to look at in a new perspective and is, you know, just keep learning, you know, from what you guys are saying, and everything you guys bring is really brought back to the Bible, and that's
that's where it all comes from.
Right.
That's what I keep telling everybody. They made their laws based on the scripture.
if like my kids like horror movies, right? And if you look at how like some of this like scary monsters like Dracula and some of the people, like if you put like a cross on a door or something, it has to be removed before they can come in. Some of the creatures can't come in. Like if you watch some of the older scary, they couldn't come in without the consent.
There's a
You-
threshold.
they-
Yep.
There's a threshold that you have to allow them to cross. So even what I talk about on substantive and due process, a lot of this stuff they have to meet these federal thresholds. 19 USC 81O. You can't reside in the jurisdiction without approval of the board. Keith already broke this stuff down. They have to. They can't break the law to enforce the law. They can't say, "Oh, we don't. No, we don't. We're not going to.
They have to have
We're just going to
jurisdiction.
skip all of that." Right.
And like
So
when he's talking about the post office, when regular cops go in there, they don't have jurisdiction. It's usually
Right.
federal, right?
Well, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. Everything that has an attachment to that postal road, the only thing they can enforce is federal code, and it has to be by a federal officer.
Exactly.
It's federal property.
What were
known
those
as
Bible
postal
verses?
road.
What were
I put them in
Leviticus
the
and
chat.
Psalm? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I put them in the chat there.
All right, thanks.
Yep.
Thanks, Keith.
And I'll copy those down for the lower chat too.
I don't know your name. I'm sorry. Thanks for breaking that down for me, brother.
you're welcome. You know my
Yeah,
name. So I mean, when you have done extensive hours of research, litigated, like I used to be in the court litigating a lot. So the areas of law that I stay in is due process. I try not to go beyond that scope because everything that they do, if you don't understand how they're abusing some type of powers, discretion, like for example, a judge, like that's why I try to, when I used to litigate and I started learning about everybody, one thing I try to tell people, a judge can't change your status. What is your status? So I try to tell people contract with each other. My job is to contract with Keith. Keith recognized me. We contract with each other. Why? Because now I could call him to be a witness. The judge cannot change my status to make me fit this corporate lifestyle or corporate entity, to make me fit into a legal scheme so he can probate my estate.
And the
He
thing
don't have
about
that authority.
the contract, that's like you got to have both parties, and that's where like my situation, the bill of sale, that contract only has one name on it from when my debt was sold fucking 3 times. So it's like it says, if you get that if I get the chance, it says you got to be fast when they're talking. You have to object on that contract when you need to speak on that. There's not 2 fucking parties on the signature
but
line.
what you're not getting is what he's telling you is that if you already have a contract in place, you don't have to worry about rebutting your contract.
It's not my contract.
Listen, just listen. If you've already got a contract in place, my companion and I already have a contract in place, 2 or more witnesses in my name. Okay. Now, any kind of contract they pose that doesn't have that witness proves to be a false process. That contract has privity. So if they don't know your privity, they're not part of your contract. That's what they can't violate, is the contract.
Okay.
So all you have to do is bring the contract. Sorry, my person already contracts
I don't
He
have
can't
a
serve
contract.
two masters.
I'm
Listen,
just saying.
the principle is he can't serve two masters. He's already serving her.
Okay, yeah.
So if I have a contract with King El Bay, I can't contract with the court. I've got a contract with him. I've got to fulfill. They fear that contract unless they can prove I'm committing a crime. That's just like saying they can't commit a crime to convict me of a crime.
Well, they're basically committing
See what I'm
fraud
saying?
because I never contracted anything. I never sold my debt. They sold it 3 times, and they sold it without me knowing even. So it's on them, I feel like.
It is.
Right.
So make them prove it.
That's
Make
and the
them
judge is
prove
like,
that they're
"You
involved
need
in
to
a
put it in."
contract with them when you got it.
The whole Brady violation of their own code, and like you said, that shit's in their book. She's like, I don't know all 8 million codes. I'm not putting in anything. I was gonna file it, but I told my mom, don't even help me with this. I'm going in there. I'm gonna just ask question after question, and that's it.
Good. Stick with that. I'm an idiot. I don't know what you're doing. Can you tell me this?
It's always it's all about asking questions. They have to, when somebody present a claim, they have to prove their claim. So if you're the only person on the contract, that's not a contract.
Exactly. Thank you.
Is it? But you got to understand: is it a trust? Did you create a trust? Now, what is your relationship with the trust?
Over 3
Is
different parties.
Is you the grantor? Because the trustee has to follow what the grantor dictate. He created the narrative. So if they listed you, identified you as the grantor, the judge cannot then change your status and say, "Oh, now you are something else in relationship to that," because the grantor created the trust for the benefit of the beneficiary.
I don't see anything about a grantor or a benefit. I just know there's a bill of sale and it was sold 3 times, and on the bill of sale there's the same name signed twice, and it's not from the original creditor. And it says that I own a fucking house. That's my boyfriend's house. There's a lot of discrepancies.
Okay, I'm going to say it one more time.
You don't have to.
Everything that you get in mail, on the face of it, expresses the trust. We already know 5 CFR 575.102 tells us federal government means all entities of the government of the United States, including United States Postal Service, the registered agent, and the Postal Regulatory Commission. So that tells us that all entities of the government of the United States are the beneficiaries. The registered agent is the Postal Service. The Postal Regulatory Commission is the grantee.
So
the residents, all those entities.
Fuck, my bad.
All the residents, all the entities of the government of the United States are derived from the municipalities that hold all of the addresses connected to each and every one of them individually and severally.
It is a municipal case. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's a trust, and it's already expressed in several forms. Particularly right on the envelope, it says
that it has to say fucking.
It says city, state, and zip. That's the expression of the trust.
Okay.
You already know the Postal Service is the registered agent. The state is a foreign trade zone as a co-trustee. The municipality is the beneficiary.
Wow.
It's operating as a beneficiary, even though it's supposed to be under fiduciary management. But again, that resident is the one that screws it up at the local level. You're the one saying you're the resident. They never compelled you to. They indoctrinated you, and it was a propaganda. And it was propaganda. And just like we did here, we did our research to find out the truth. And I asked you to do your research to find out the truth. And instead of doing the research, you came back with something somebody else told you. I told you to look it up. And instead of looking it up, you gave me something your sister told me.
I said my sister works at a patent law firm, dude. That's all I said. My mom was
and then you came off with something else that you got from that source. And then you came off with something else that you got from that source. And I knew you didn't get it from where I told you to get it, because if you had, you'd have come up with the same thing I said.
What are you talking about?
Patent. Instead of looking it up and finding out it means lying open, you went to everything but lying open.
All right.
That's why I say don't just give answers. Don't just give answers anymore. Particularly when you refer to some other source that you never bothered to research again. I'm telling you not to believe me, not to believe your neighbor, not to believe the government, not to believe your mother. Don't believe anybody. None. Quit believing. Do research so you know. And if I ask you to look it up, don't give me some dumb answer that somebody else gave you. That's dumb. Look it up. And then she leaves.
That's not
okay. It's not going on, brother.
How you doing? So you're absolutely right. For anybody that doubts what you're saying, you're absolutely right, because they hate when I say I have a general delivery, and even though that's still general delivery and still inside, it doesn't say I've never admitted to being a resident, and they need me to be a resident in order to proceed on this matter, but I won't be a resident because they can't convince me to be a resident. There's not enough benefits.
Right. Well, not only is there not enough benefit, but it has to be deemed necessary. Well, in order for it to be necessary, there needs to be a requisite, a requirement. In other words, a prior need before they even ask you. Then they can ask you and then determine if you're fit for service. Oops, did we forget that step? Did we forget one?
They always seem to think that I'm fit for service, even though I tell them I'm not ever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing how the law works based upon their own opinions and not the actual definition and literal spirit and meaning of the words they're using. This is why I urge everybody to shut up, unlearn everything you've done, and relearn it right from the start. Concise English Handbook and a copy of the 1611 King James Version of the Scriptures. Start there. Rebuild your spiritual concepts, moral principles.
You know what's so
I'll
funny?
tell you.
I just did a video. My fault, Keith. I just did a video and it stated, "Do your conduct fit the bill?"
Yeah.
And I was just explaining the word fit. A lot of people don't understand these words. They're under a spell of illness, because they believe that this fiction is real.
Yeah. Are you fit for service? Are you an investor? Can you wear that vest? This is a Davy and Goliath situation. Can you wear the armor of the nation? Is it too heavy for you? Or do you have better armor? Literally, that's what it's about, folks. Are you fit for service? And if so, what service are you fit for? See that
Service
form?
to the king.
In? Go ahead.
It would be service to the king or service to the creator, not any other service, because that's what we're deemed here for in the first place.
Yep. And see, the problem is many people, again, don't understand the trust law. And the simple basics of a trust law is a trust shall not fail for want of trustee. So, if we see Jesus as the trustee and we cut out the trustee, can't we communicate directly with God? As it says in Hebrews 13, ye shall seek my counsel. And when you do so in private. That's the way we seek counsel. But we're supposed to walk the way of the Christ. This is faith without works is dead. So once you seek counsel, the seeking counsel tells you, hey, buddy, there's some scriptures out there that talk about my son. Now, I tried my best to teach my son to teach you how to walk. Check it out. Maybe you'll like it. And that's basically what I get out of the scriptures. Okay? And so when I look at the scripture, I look at it a lot like Tom Sawyer, and I use it for the lessons that are in it, the moral lessons. You know, like Tom Sawyer was really good at selling his value. Paul talks about it all the time, and why I relate to Paul so much, because I learned how to sell my value the same way Tom Sawyer, or it was expressed through Tom Sawyer in that book. He got all of his friends to walk by, enamored with the concept that he held this great honor to be able to whitewash this fence for his aunt. That's where the glory goes, because you're really doing it for her, right? You see the pimp game now, and that's exactly why I use it against them. I don't have to believe scriptures are totally true, but I can use it for the way it's meant. Shut them down. Period. I think it's pretty easy. Uh-oh. Did we lose King El Bay? Anyway, if there's not much else on, and the public defenders work for the courts, yes, they do. Only corporations can hire attorneys. Yes, that you have to be incorporated and organized under the laws of the United States, and therefore have a board of directors. And in representing somebody in a court case, you can't just have a blanket attorney hired to do all the general work of the firm. You have to hire an attorney independently for each case that anyone will do in court. And this goes for the defendant too. Again, I don't care if the defendant does voluntarily appear in the court. If he's not qualified as an organization, organized and established under the laws of the United States appropriately with a board of directors so he can hire an attorney, then he can't volunteer to appear in court as capable of doing something like that. And that's why I say that's an impossibility. The individual man does not have a board of directors consisting of at least 5 members. Don't know what to tell you. I mean, I'm sorry she made that kind of a stupid law. But maybe you're the one who used, because I'm not. It's pretty clear in English. So, have no idea what you're talking about without 4. CBA at VV and bronze Y91. It's nobody can understand that. You really got to bring some clarity. The abbreviations do not work. Anyway, again, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Down in the details section, it has all my site links, the 2 PayPal links for anybody that wants to help. The PayPal FBU is for those that have PayPal accounts. And the business PayPal account is for anybody that doesn't have a PayPal. And please make sure that you use a friends and family when you send, if you do. Otherwise, remember, folks, I love you. I don't give a fuck whether you love me back. So God bless. And any special words from at the end here from anybody?
Do the right thing every time.
Absolutely. Do your best.
I just say that life is
Keith
a thinking
Preston.
sport. My motto is life.
Say it again.
I said my motto is life is a thinking man's sport. You have to use your noggin. You have to think. You have to sit down
Yes.
and you have to read.
Yep, that's that
Agreed.
term, courteous. It's courteous, meaning you got to be court-wise. Everybody that you're courting. So think about it. And how about you, Nubs?
No, just be wise. Do wise things. That's really what it boils down to. I agree
All
with the
right.
brother.
All right. Well, I thank you for joining, and we'll see you again next time. And Deepan, you got anything to say as we go out?
Great stuff. Appreciate the sternness. We all need to sit back and shut up and listen to wise counsel. So, but lots of great folks, and it's a great room. I appreciate it. It's my first time, so I look forward to coming back.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it. Make sure you hit that like, share, and subscribe button and get this out. I think it's important people hear this stuff. And I thank you for your words. I certainly apologize if I seem too rough to most people, but I assure you, I kicked my own ass. I am so sick and tired of people thinking I get rough with them. If you can't believe that I've been rough with myself, then you don't know me. Because like I said, I know I've known myself be a pretty smart guy most of my life. And when it came to being 50 years of age, and I finally realized my own stupidity and that I've been the fucking fool for that first 50 years. I'm the one that was doing all of this without comprehending what I was doing. Forgive me, for I knew not what I was doing. Now I go forth with the righteousness that I hold in my heart to make sure that everything I do is for myself, but for everybody else. Because I'm so tired of everybody lying to each other. So I will do nothing but be my total honesty, open book, patent, and observable in everything I do, without question. It's the only way to end
Before
this
you
story.
go, can I get you to just touch on the verses that you read in Leviticus? What were they on? The general.
Oh,
was that patents or land?
That's it's your power, and it relates to power versus force. Their entire credit system, like I said, is a military-based system, and that military-based system works on merits and demerits. And when you look up the term merit, it literally means spiritual credit, and that's what their credit system is arrived on. So
if you're going to describe Leviticus, those
right. So when it comes down to the Redeemer,
lag.
It doesn't matter how much credit or debit there is. You don't care about that. You can quash it all because you're the Redeemer. You're walking the way of Christ as a Redeemer.
What about Psalms?
Passport.
And the Jeremiah?
Sanctified and ordained. And this goes to the nation's ordinances that can be used against somebody to sanction them. So when we read Jeremiah 1:5, it says, "Before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee. Before thou wast cast from the womb, I sanctified thee, and I ordained thee a prophet unto the nations." So that tells us that no nation's ordinances can sanction the word of God written in our heart while we were forged in our mother's womb.
That's amazing. It's just so awesome when you. I've just been praying more the last 6 months, and yesterday I was trying to figure out like how to be a minister because I wanted to start a ministry, but I'm like, who is going to have the power to ordain me? I don't want to get some corporate structure to ordain me, and I don't want to contract in the public. I'm like, where do I get that? And it's like that's exactly where you get it. You got it as soon as you
It's right
say
there in the
you got
scriptures,
it and you live it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. What about
and that's the same
Isaiah?
with Psalms 121. Isaiah 43:1. Fear not, for I have redeemed thee. I have called thee by thy name. Thou art mine. 44:5 reaffirms it by saying, one shall say, I am the Lord's. One shall call himself by the name of Jacob. Another shall subscribe with his hand unto the Lord and surname himself by the surname Israel.
Amazing.
So
Yeah,
we
thank you
give up
so
the
much.
earthly name. I'm sorry, but you've got to recognize me as one of the children of Israel. The leg is the Jacob's ladder. It extends both up and down. Jacob's ladder, by the way, folks, he had 12 sons and a daughter. So 13 children. He had 6 wives, I believe, something like 4 wives, maybe. Anyway, the 12 sons, in order of the way they were born, the name and what it means when you do the Hebrew meaning of each name of his sons, it spells out the birthright. The daughter's name, Dinah. Okay, I see I dropped out there real quick.
Yeah, please
I hope I'm
repeat.
back. Okay, so Dinah is his daughter, and that's where we get our modern day dollar and dowry. It's the value system. It's feminine. Come out of her. Come out of her and pay attention to the real mother, the Mother Earth. And again, the 12 sons, when you look up the Hebrew meaning in order, it tells you the birthright. You're supposed to demand your birthright. So think about that stuff. And then also, brother, I've got a series of videos in there about the name and the importance of the name. You'll see one in there, Jacob's Ladder. And I believe that's the one that'll explain the names. Other than that, I appreciate
I'll go check that out.
popping in.
Yeah. It's all you ever find when the nights when you're like ready to stay up all night and learn, there's like not much going on. So I'm really grateful.
I was just telling a friend earlier, I don't sleep. I caught lung cancer, or was diagnosed with lung cancer last year, and ended up sitting on the couch for about 8 months with pain medications and stuff. And I'm on a fast track of beating the shit out of it. And I quit the pain meds about 4 months ago, close to 4 months ago. But in that time, I did a lot of sleeping. But now that I'm off the pain meds, I've got a high metabolism. As you can probably see, it's nonstop speaking. Even doesn't matter how stoned I get. And so I've got this natural high metabolism, and I hardly ever sleep. I mean, when I do,
how did you beat
very
it?
Light. A lot
How
of
did you
different things,
beat it?
multifaceted, ivermectin, bendazole, apricot derivative, vitamins, RSO, frequency therapy, immune therapy, high doses, vitamin C, things like that.
Amazing. Congratulations.
Well, we're still on the path, so they're keeping an eye on it, and the last MRI showed that it was shrinking and inactive. So we're doing good. Number one, greetings. What's on your mind? Is that JG? Would seem so. Well, we certainly appreciate the setting light there on the horizon, but we're at the end of the show. We appreciate you showing up. Please go back and be sure to watch the whole video. I think it's important. We're talking about that person of voodoo and how you're the one that, and actually I wanted to make it a point, you know, when it comes to that voodoo doll, guys, they gave you a number and took away the name, and that number is the person. And every time you use it and you sign that name, what you're doing is they gave you that doll and you're holding that doll. And every time you sign a document, you're sticking a pin in it. You're doing it yourself. You're hurting yourself. Learn what it's meant for and quit using it that way. Start learning how to dress it up because it's been addressed wrong. So think about that. And one last time, folks, God bless you. You know I love you, but I don't give a fuck whether you love me back or not. The important part is that you learn what you're supposed to be doing and quit believing in everything. Learn how to do your research so you know, and it's called knowledge, not knowledge. So God bless. Have a good night. Thanks for joining. I might be back with some poker. See you in a bit.